Hello, everybody. What are we doing? I look so smooth right now. Hold on. Why is it? All right, I guess I'm just going to be a flat circle then. What's new? How's everybody doing? Ladies, if you were in a forest alone, would you rather be alone with a man? That wouldn't really be alone. Would you rather be in a forest with a man or in a forest with a bear? Fucking idiots. I think a better question. Like, I was thinking about this because I was writing about it for the Substack. Follow me. And I was like, if the question were worded, women always having to put in a fucking new tone police. No, if it was worded, would you rather be in an ocean with a man or a shark? Obviously, you'd pick the man. I personally would pick the man, but I also look for tequila drinking buddies often. I'm just kidding. But because I was really thinking about this, it's like, why are women being stupid? We'll see what they have to say. I got into the whatever stream when they were going over super chats. So, like 7 hours later. So, I haven't seen it. I heard there's a girl in red who pops off. So, that should be fun. It's not me this time. Misandrists. Guys. Yeah. We'll talk about women's instincts and where this rationale comes from. And I guess she said it for AM instead of PM. Did I? Did it say 1 AM? So sorry. She's on white girl time. It's always an estimation. It's never when I'm going to be there. Actually, today I was on time though, which never happens. So, you know, let me get some tunes. La, 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 la. Did you guys watch this podcast? I'm looking forward to it. I feel like Andrew's on a roll. Some poppin' content. We really need different music. Okay, let's share the stream. This is a 7-hour podcast. We're going to start it at Man in the Bear. Thank God Brian's team puts timestamps. God bless. So let me... Can you tell it's the first time I've spoken out loud today? Thank you. Here we go. Did I time it up correctly? Yeah, I think so. Let me read the timestamps of what we got in this bench. Holy. Shout out to the timestamps, dude. Let's see, we got. But I personally, when watching the whatever podcast, I hate hearing about the women's experience. Like, that's so fucked up. Like, that's mostly the show. It drags. So anytime it's like, so you're single, it's like, oh, here we go. Like, I don't want to listen to that shit. If you guys disagree, let me know. But we have age gaps, man versus bear, which is where I want to start. What percentage of men would murder a girl? Andrew grills around expectations, blaming the parents, asking a man for help. Should humans act rational? She would not ask for help. She brings up the club instead of the wilderness. Who's doing these? This is funny. A debate over logic and mathematics. Dear God. Okay. Is this question based on rationality and digging deeper? Probably not. It's probably based on emotion. Men are scarier. Coping straw man and masked illusions. Casual encounters and sexism. Cities of bears. Oh, anthropomorphism. That's pretty dope. It's like when you assume animals are more like people. than they owned. Good. That's interesting. I wanna listen to that for sure. Bumble swiping. Have you guys heard about the Bumble? We talked about it really briefly. I put it actually on my community page. There are billboards in LA right now that are so concerning to women right now, myself included, which I personally don't like. Like, when I hear people are on their celibacy thing, like, unfortunately, my mind goes straight to, like, "Damn, you took a lot of dick to, like, make a vow to yourself." However, I think it's a beautiful thing, okay? You take a hoe, she wants to reform herself, you do you, okay? Just don't forget your past, okay? It's fucked up. It's fucked up. But so there's a billboard right now. Actually, they took it down the day after, but it said, what did it say? It was like, celibacy is not the answer, ladies. I want all men to hear about this so that when y'all be calling women thoughts and shit, I could be like, let's not forget when Bumble, the app for women or catered to women, made a billboard post in the most fucking city in the world, in my opinion, that said, "A vow to not fucking your safety is not the answer." Now, if I had to steel man this shit, like, really just drawing at anything, pulling from anything, I would have to say that on its best, they are saying, mm, you choosing to, not fuck around is only feeding into sexism. That can't be the answer to what you want, because that just feeds the patriarchy, if I had to steel man it. However, we know why it's there. Well, do we? Maybe it's just to make an outrage. They took it down. I don't know. I don't know. I I've never taken a marketing class. I would love to, actually, if you guys have recommendations. I know a lot of the marketing theories around stuff, makeup specifically, but I don't know, like, all the tricks of the trade with, like, Kim K's family and shit, so if you guys actually have an input on that, that would be interesting. But anyways, so that was that. Dating a guy with a firearm, thumbs down? Oh, am I see yeah, it's a thumbs down. Sorry, I'm blind. Exposure to guns, she would rather die than fight a home intruder. That sounds like me. Sounds like I was on that panel. Rating 1 through 10. 10, but she wants bigger breasts. I say, therefore I am. Will you be more attractive in 10 years? Ooh, that should be good. Evolution and beauty hasn't changed, for those wondering. The bullet scenario. Bullet rye, baby? Expecting the spouse to sacrifice the Grim Reaper. What is this, Sims? Would you date a man who wouldn't sacrifice? Brian tries to checkmate Andrew, but fails. I don't know. Dating different ethnicities and birth control. Her beef with Andrew over born again women. Does Andrew argue for love? Andrew drinks and smokes. So boring. Do you not want people to come to Jesus? Who is a feminist? Does the patriarchy exist and what is it? Ooh, that should be good. I love when they try to define it. If women join the draft, here we go. Bigotry. What is bigotry? Why? I've never asked. Intolerant devotion to one's own opinions. Wait a minute. Intolerant devotion to one's own opinions and prejudices. So feminists? Okay. Just wondering. It's like, wait, what? Wait, where did I go? Go back. Wrong thing. Here we are. Forced conscription baffles her. Ooh, I love this topic. I love this topic. Equity of the draft in replacing the patriarchy. Evolutionary roles are outdated for females. Oh, that is it. Feminist argues the draft, equity, female rights. It was only about, 7 years ago, maybe 8. I guess that's kind of a decent time that feminists were arguing for equality, and now it's equity. Oh, for those that we're talking about equality, it's like most people get the same opportunities, but when you talk about equity, we're talking about communism. Okay, just keep it at 100. And back then, when people would say equity, it was like, oh no, 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 of course not. Like feminists would say that. Now it's just laughable. Just proof that we be changing. I'm not a part of it, but those are the hoes. So throw the whole bitch away. Emotional and physical intimacy. Brian calls her out for her rudeness. Are they misogynists? Define misogyny. Home police arrives. Return of the patriarchy. What else? Is being a mother as bad as the draft? Oh, I have something to say about that. Are men stronger than women? None of y'all have been in a fight or breaking up a fight at a bar, and it shows. Okay. Okay. All right, let's start where I have it, which is the man and the bear. For those that are like man and bear, what? On TikTok, there's this new trend, and it's would you rather be stuck in the forest with a man or a bear? And it started out being just lighthearted and fun, like most things, until women had a mass delusion and now they're psychotic. Kidding. But essentially, women would go around asking their husbands and fathers or like somebody who wasn't having a sexual relationship with the person talking. I know that's like really weird to say, but it's important to really understand the dynamic we're talking about. But they were asking, and all of the men took a pause, like way too long. And the men are like, what do you mean you took a pause? When you say you're not thinking about anything, but you obviously are, it's like that. Damn women. And so pretty much the men could not decide. So originally, the reason that this took off so exponentially is because men could not make a decision because men found the threat in the man. And however, women took it and they fucking not even ran with it. They just got on their fucking witch broomstick and fucking bye bitch, just going off with it. It's everywhere. It's in all the comments on videos that aren't even related. It's like a meme of its own. It's just like if you see a man doing e-parring a woman in like a news program or something on TikTok, that somebody will comment like, more reason to be with the bear. Sprinkle, sprinkle. So it's everywhere. And women are voicing their concerns. We're just like men. We're not scared of them. You're more scary than a bear. Ew. It's like that. Really? And the men are out here like, without kids and without being asked the question, what the fuck? Why the fuck would you choose a fucking bear? It's my like impersonation of people at the bar. You really pick a bear? Really? Fucking tell you why, or I'll show you why you pick a bear. Men get mad. Loser. Sandras. Guys, I tell you all the time, I'm okay with you calling call him misandry and all that shit. But I got to tell you, if you go to comment misandrist on like feminist shit, they will make fun of you over it. And the reason is kind of weird, but essentially, just to keep it really extreme to prove a point, because men hold power or because men hold strength, force, if you will. Jesus. Men will always be the threat, essentially. So when we talk about misandry or hatred towards the gender male, it never results to violence. When we talk about misogyny, though, misogyny, I fucking need this word too. It can lead to violence. Does it always? No. Sometimes. Like, I'm always called a misogynist. And I know I look like I would throw up some hands. Like, well, Tori, we have an equalizer and a gun. You're being way too, like, particular about it. Just, so when you write misandry, it's kind of like the code. It's like an inside joke with the feminists where they will all repost your comments like, ha, 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 ha. And you might be like, what is this logic? They have an inside joke with it. Okay, you can do it here. I'm just telling you. I would hate to see one of my subscribers being blasted on TikTok by some ugly bitch. But anyways, let's get started. Like the video if you haven't liked it already. And I know we've been doing a lot of vertical streams. We are going to go back to horizontal, but when I do the vertical ones, more subscribers subscribe. So we're growing. Okay, we're growing right now. So if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that. We like to make fun of all feminist shit. I don't know if I can say that. I feel like I'm on thin ice. We make fun of both men and women. No one's off the hook here. But in this particular one, according to the chats yesterday and seeing the way end of it, it seems like there was some delulu going on. So anyways, let's go. Can we see it? Is it bright enough? Does it matter when I do that?
Like what happened there? So I don't know. I have so many trust issues.
Wait, I thought we were on the bear.
Times. The man versus bear debate. Maybe you guys have seen this viral thing on TikTok, social media. So if you're walking alone in the woods, would you rather come across a bear or a man?
I've come across bears. I do a lot of hiking, so they're not like.
What kind of bears?
Thankfully not a grizzly, but
thank you for that.
A lot in Wyoming. Was it Wyoming? Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. They kind of leave you alone. As long as you look down and you back away slowly, you don't make yourself look big. You're fine.
Mm-hmm.
So
you've actually come across a bear. Were you alone or walking with friends?
No, I was with my mom and my sister. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm like a crackhead. I listen to it up really fast. We'll drop it down.
So you did come across an adult black bear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what did you guys do in that situation?
We really just, it was like far enough away that it wasn't like, right at our faces or something, thankfully. Otherwise, my sister would have freaked out and run away, which would have been really bad. But, you really just, you mind your business. You look down, you back away, you don't look, you don't want to scare the bear, obviously, or make any sudden movement. So it's really just look down, back away slowly, which I feel like could be the same thing you could do if you see a scary man alone in the woods. You look down, back away slowly. So I think it could go either way.
Okay.
But
so
I don't think
you did do that with the black bear, though. You look down, walks back. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like when you see them, like if you're backpacking, when you see them, you just kind of,
sure.
they just mind their own business. They don't really want your
stuff.
stuff.
Do you ever do that? Have you ever like crossed paths with a man and looked down?
I feel like every time I see a man, I don't want to make eye contact.
Oh shit. Okay. All right.
I don't want to look.
All right. What about you?
My friends and I were talking about this debate the other day, and I think that it's funny because I would say a bear. I think that if you were to reverse the question respectfully, I don't know what guys say to this, but I would say a bear because I know that at least like the worst thing that he could do is kill me. A man could do a variety of things.
Okay. Well, I'll get everybody's answers. We won't linger on this one for too long, but I'll get people's answers.
A bear, because that's easier to scare away.
A bear's easier to scare away?
I think. Isn't like you're supposed to just like scream at them and they like run away? That's like the tales I've heard.
Depends on the bear.
I'd rather the bear still, though. I don't know. I'll take my chances.
Okay, so the bear. All right, what about you?
I love bears. I wish I could be close to a bear and it not kill me, but I'd rather be a man.
Okay.
I'll take the bear any day. You guys are crazy. A man for sure.
A man.
I would say bear because I like
Brian.
large animals.
That's a terrible answer.
Okay.
Well, bears
What's
are also,
going on here? Okay, let's remove this for a second. What's going on? Why is it that women are picking the bear? Top right. Oh, sorry, I was reading the chat. Why are women picking the bear? There's a lot of issues. I've talked about this before, and this might give some sort of explanation. It's not scientific, but essentially, when it comes to approaching women, a lot of guys, specifically in the black pill space, will say things like, women will only be nice to really attractive people because they want to fuck them, something like that. And essentially what's going on is women have been evolved to seek out threat, whether that's in like when they're pregnant and not picking a mate that has mental illness. This is all true. This part's all true. Okay. Women are always seeking out threats on some level that they might not even be totally aware of. And what gets complicated is a lot of the same traits. Like there's two types of scary traits. You have like your the ones that promote illness or threat to like a child type thing, like some would say mental illness, like you don't want to reproduce with them, judging, whatever. But then you have other traits like deep voice. You're like, well, that's useful, but that's also threatening to a woman. So what the fuck is going on? What the hell is going on? There's something, it is a paradox. I thought I wrote it down. I might not have. It's a paradox of attraction, if I had to guess. I didn't write it down. But essentially there's trade-offs. So anyways, when a man approaches a woman, women are more likely to be more receptive to the dudes that like follow the halo shit, where it's like essentially you have a bias that the better looking somebody is, the kinder of a person, better human they are type shit. So when a man approaches a woman, before they're even really looking at you, they're trying to see if they can pick up on any threats. Is this man safe or not? The fact that we live amongst males more, or men more, this is so constant, but yet it's always there, but it's not like I'm aware that I'm seeking out threats. But if you think about it, like if a homeless guy jumps out at you, he's disheveled, he's got maybe a long beard or whatever, would the same thing happen with a guy that's not disheveled with a beard? Yeah. You kind of like, oh, hello. Does that mean that we don't like beards? No, you ask women, they do. So it's so complicated and it's so intertwined with our social being. And I was trying to think of something that would be equivalent to men. And the only thing I could come up with is she into me? Or is she trying to fuck me? If a woman stares at me. It's like on the same level. It's like very constant. You're seeing it. You're like, Tori, I haven't fucked in like 10 years. I don't know what you're talking. Just go. Okay, I'm not a dude. Just doing my best. So when women are asked, would you rather be in a forest with a man or a bear? They're now forced to think about all the threats that maybe weren't conscious to them. That's the only way I hypothesized it, I guess. And so the issue women have is there's like, most women, if I had to guess, have not encountered a bear. So we have limited evidence. This is like a fallacy of some sort. I forget what it's called, something with an I, illusory, I don't know. It's where you have limited evidence, and like limited evidence, there's absence of evidence. It breaks down into a lot. But essentially, you can't ask women, I'm being a nerd right now. You can't ask women, would you rather be in a forest with a man or the bear? Because they can't conceptualize the threat of the bear. You could guess maybe when there's bear attacks on the computer, the computer on fucking news stations, but we don't really hear about them. Do we? I don't. Have you guys? I've heard about like dog attacks, but we don't look at dogs that way. Some do. Some have like a visceral reaction to pit bulls. That's why they don't allow them in certain apartment complexes, but essentially, like, not really. So right away, no matter what answer they give, they can't. It's bias, essentially. I mean, I don't know any other way to put it. But like I said in the beginning of the video, when you ask a woman, would you rather be in the ocean with a man or a shark? It's like easily a man. Why though? Why is that so different? And the only thing I could come up with is like being raised to not be alone in the woods. Like you're not really raised to be like, I guess don't swim out that far, but like if a shark's coming, it's there. Like you don't, like if the threat of violence or death, like a shark or a bear, if it's there, it's out of your control. It's like a tornado. It just fucking happens. You can only prepare. Like this is when more of them come out, but like you can't really do anything about it until you're in the moment. But it's like in the shark scenario, when you think about, can you, like, you'd rather be with a man who can take you away from the shark, essentially, if we're thinking about the threat of the shark. It's kind of choppy way to think about it, but it's like it's so clear that because the strength needed to get out of like a current or away from this jaws, it's so obvious. It takes so much force. However, when it comes to the bear in the forest, this is so ADD of me. Sorry, guys. I'm like, why is it not the fucking same? It just isn't. And it's like, because that man would not be tired out to not try to fuck me. But it's like, are all men trying to fuck you? Like, technically, no. But even then, like, I would be so relieved. Like, here's the other thing is like, if I'm in a forest and I see a bear, I could only hypothesize. I'm a tiny bitch. I'm like 5'3". But if I saw that thing climb out of the tree or down that cliff, did you guys see the video of the guy that's like screaming at it? And it's like coming at him, like on a cliff, down a cliff. Fucking nuts. But it's like, I would just pray to God that there's a man there. The same way that if I'm stuck in a building with a fire, like I would feel a lot more relieved to see a man be like, "Don't worry, bitch, we're gonna get you out of here." Like, oh, God damn. It's like, why the fuck is it not the same in the forest? It's like, bitch, do you even go to a forest? Not really. I don't. So it's all theory. I don't camp. Like, do I look like I do? It's like I see a strange man in my experience. Well, actually, I've had a gun held up against my head. Long story. When there were dudes watching, like in a relatively busy area where they did nothing, like if anybody's gonna pick the bear, it would be me. Solipsism. But it's like, no, I would pick the man. Is it because I worked a job where it was so you learn everybody's secrets? Like, I could not figure this out. Why are women picking the fucking bear? And honestly, it seems so lame, but like the only thing, like at the end of it, it's because they haven't been around a bear. Like, you don't know a bear. Ask her, would you rather be in Antarctica with a polar bear? And you're like, Tori, grizzly bears are very violent. There's something different about a polar bear. Like, you have to play dead. and they already instinctually like they're coming. They smell you. I don't know if y'all have ever watched those videos. It's like a grizzly bear. I've seen videos like the guy on the cliff where you can make a bunch of noise and they go away from you. The polar bear ain't it. Like, my dog looks like one though. She looks like a polar bear. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. But I don't know. Why is it this forest example though? It's like, well, if I scream and yell, at least the bear will leave me alone. It's like, you don't know that, bitch. Like, yeah, now they tell you that, but how did somebody figure that out? You know, now they teach people that. Or it's like, well, at least if I tell the bear no, it's not going to do it anyway. It's like, but well, like that's the threat. Well, at least the bear won't try to fuck me. It's like, yeah, but I feel like eating my head off is like equally as bad at that point. Like, honestly, if I had to weigh, yeah, we get real dark there. It's like, what other answers did they give? At least the bear is predictable. And I was like, the who? Like, what? Like, that's the point. They're not. What else do they say? Well, at least, well, the bear would be scared of the man too because men fuck animals. And it's like, okay, like that's a good point. But you're not dead. I know it's dark, but you're not dead. And then you're weighing like, what's worse, E-part or fucking death? Honestly, I'm ready to die, so bye. And the other thing that I forgot to add is like, are women not aware of men's like heroic instinct or like sacrifice? Like, are they not aware of this? They must not be. I was writing about this piece on Substack with the conscription thing. And I was trying to explain burden of performance in the same way that we can, in a weird way, look at force and rights. So like men can enforce force. Men use force to enforce rights. It's like women don't have anything. So by default, men have to pick up the slack, right? Like that's the same way I've been looking at this burden of performance and sacrificial nature. And fun fact, since we'll probably talk about conscription, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but World War One, well, I'm sorry, 1863. So this Civil War by American War, whatever war, where conscription kind of started. It was more of a thing in Europe. Like, okay, it was more of a thing over there, but like in the US, essentially, but not until World War One, which is 1917. Don't quote me. Actually, you probably should. So I was like, what, the first time of it. But like a lot of people don't know that you could technically pay your way out. So what I mean by that is like, yes, men were conscripted for war, meaning if there's like a draft, it's not if you're going, it's just when. Okay, you have to. But essentially you could pay for, I think they called it, fuck, is Shane in the chat? I think it's called a substitute, something like that. And essentially it was somebody, you could pay somebody to step in for you. And that person would, I believe, do like that war, but then also anytime they would need you at a later date. but I think it costed like $300 back then, 600, no, 300, which would have been equivalent to $432,000 today. So the only people that could do this were wealthy people. But let's say, hypothetically, we had a draft tomorrow and we had the same thing where you could kind of pay a substitute to step in. This is important. Pay attention. Even with the way the temperature is with the gender war, feminists hate men, men being annoyed of slutty women, that whole thing. If we had the same thing today, men would step up to take over women's substitute position, essentially. Like dad would, I could pay, well, no, let's say I could pay a dude I don't even know in Europe to come here and fight on my behalf. Why? Because men sacrifice. Because men do that shit. They want to draft the American women. We need to go down there. Men would step up. That's that burden. And the same way I looked at force. I don't know. So with that, men will always have to take on this like sacrificial role. Even when they hate women, like now. So it's wild to me, the whole bear thing. Okay, I'll shut up.
Let me ask. So this sort of seems to, there's this assumption here that the man would be bad in the situation. What percentage, like, so the frame here is you pluck a totally random man out of, say, the entire population of the United States. Totally random man. So what percentage of men do you think would attack you?
A high one?
I feel like it's
So-
also the fact that the man knows that he's alone with you and that he can get away with anything. It'd be very different
Not
to find a
necessarily,
man
but-
But we
on
don't
the side of
really
the
know.
road. Like on the side of the road, it'd be like, okay, that man will probably help me. But like in the middle of nowhere, it's like you really don't know. And I wouldn't want to take my chances because I just value my life a little
Okay.
too much.
So, well, asking the question, what, since we are talking about, you're just picking, it's a totally random man. It could be a good man, could be a bad man, could be a neutral man, I guess. So the good
I
man
just
could
thought of
conceivably
something.
say you're lost in the forest.
You know what's crazy is if this question was asked to men, would you rather be in a forest by yourself with a bear chasing after you, or by yourself with you and a woman being chased by a bear? What do you think they would pick? That's a good question. Think about it. Of course you wouldn't pick the woman because she's going to slow you guys down. You could die. Less likelihood of survival. But guess what? You could fall in love. Which would you pick? I don't know.
You survive. Could be a neutral man who just walks right by you, goes along his way. Could be a bad man who murder, whatever. What percentage of men do you think, if presented with this scenario, would actually attack you in some way, whatever way that might be?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, starting with you, we'll go around the table.
I don't know. Probably not a large percent.
What do you think?
I don't know. That's such a broad question. I feel like I wouldn't, like, of the U.S. population. You mean?
Okay, let me
Is that what you said?
rephrase. Let's assume it's a really hot. Let's say it's Megan Fox circa like Transformers. You're like, oh fuck, she's skinny. And it's like literally, if you think imagine I say no, it's a woman who's really overweight. That's only taking off a piece of what women feel about the men versus bear question. And that's like a contempt. That's not even like fear at that point. That's just like, oh, here we go. Would you guys, if it was a hot chick, what would you pick? You're telling me that in a scenario with Megan Fox, where you could save her fucking life easily, like more easily than not. I mean, like, I see men and they can do everything, you know? Like, actually. Like, I don't see this like, oh no, he's gonna die. You guys don't die. Boys don't die. You know what I mean? Like, they're always, you guys figure out everything. What do you mean we die? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, they got it. Wait, have you guys seen the video? Ooh, you look so buff. You could paddle this boat. Fucking love it. It keeps popping up in my reels. I'll try to find it.
Or,
Sure.
I don't know. A low percentage, I would say. Not a very high percent necessarily,
Give us
but
10%, 20%,
like 30 maybe.
30%. 30% of
Is
men
that
would.
a lot? Am I? I don't
Well,
know.
we'll get
Okay,
everybody's
never
answers.
mind.
What about you? What do you think?
I would say maybe like 20%, like 1 in 5.
One in 5 men would
Like
try to murder you.
I don't know. It all like I think it's really context dependent too. Like what is he doing in the woods alone?
Well,
you know,
it's just you've just plopped a random man.
it's just
in
like
the
by
woods.
chance.
Totally random man.
I would say probably 20%.
So 1 in 5 men would be inclined to murder a woman if given the chance.
I don't really know. Like maybe I would say it's probably lower, like in reality in terms of like murder rates or whatever.
Okay.
I just think that
Grid One Motorsports donated $200.
Yo, good to see you,
Let's
Grid
be
One.
honest, you will never see the man, as he knows why will be nothing but a drain on resources and decrease his chance of survival. He will simply watch as you give the bear indigestion. F you all.
Okay, thank you.
he donated $200 to say that. That's so amazing.
That's so
You don't want to invoke his wrath. Trust me. Okay. First girl's answer is mute because she was. What?
Oh.
Okay. I thought the microphones were muted. What percentage of men?
I can't even think
Well,
about it. I
if
think
I
like
recall, you said like
a
it would
high
be,
one.
Who said
I would.
majority of someone?
I said a high one. I feel like okay.
What's high?
I feel like 30 to 35, like maybe even pushing 40. I feel men are
40%
just
of men.
scary as a woman. And like, if you're ever alone just in the streets in the city, it's already scary enough and there are no bears. Imagine a scenario, there's like no one else but just you and a random man.
Okay, so random 40% of men would opt to attack you in this
Like
situation.
y'all,
What about you?
I'd say a very low
the
percent.
homeless men, the ones that are so scary, used to walk me to and from the parking garage on Hubbard Street. Like they're very protective. It's crazy to me that we're picking. Like I get it, but don't you think how we've socialized men that if men are really the bigger threat and most of them aren't doing shit, like it would only make sense.
Did you say man or bear?
I said man.
Okay,
I'd rather be a man. Yeah.
Sure.
And
Wait, be a man?
I'd rather it be a man.
Oh, it's be. Okay,
yeah,
go
I'd
ahead.
rather the person in the woods be a man than a bear.
Sure. What percentage do you think?
A very small percentage. I think there'd be some men that'd be happy for like another person to find another
Sure.
person in the woods, and
Okay.
I think there'd be a low percentage that would want to kill you.
What percentage?
2%, maybe
2%,
1%.
1%? Okay. What do you think?
I think there actually be a pretty low percentage who want to like full on kill you, maybe like 7%, but like a good 30% that would like do something very questionable, even if it's like the lowest form of like sexual harassment, but like for sure make you uncomfortable. Maybe even like 40%.
Okay. So when you mean like they would
What?
essay you? 40%
Like
would
something,
essay?
40% would make you uncomfortable. Like they would do something that
Well,
made you
couldn't a man just make you uncomfortable just by walking past you in the woods? Not even doing anything?
No, I'm pretty sure you get my point. Like 40%, like for example, one would like, I don't know, like slap your ass or something like that. Like something that like is
Walking-
not.
Okay.
I
All right.
know.
That's okay. You said man. What percentage though do you think would
Like
do
to murder or to like rape or like what are we talking about here?
just
Anything?
try to say essay instead if you have
Oh,
to
sorry,
talk
I'm
about
sorry.
that?
I don't know, like 5 to 10. That's
5
what we're
to
talking
5 to
about.
10%
Yeah,
men would
5%.
try to essay or murder.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you?
I think like very small, like 0.1%.
Okay. What about you?
Yeah, I would say like 1 to 2%.
But you did pick.
Dude, like I don't think people realize that men are a secret gem in society. I call them this infrequently because y'all are annoying too. But like I don't know if I've just had so many experiences where I'm like, hey, you, I need your shoulders. Get the fuck over here. And they're just able to like, and I have long arms. Or they'll just be like, yeah, get on. You just like do like they don't ask questions. Like, what do you mean? Like, there's only 1% that would kill you, bitch. Men are obsessed with you. They literally think that like they are. Are they not? I just had a lot of experiences where I'm like, hey, I need somebody for something. I just picked a bar patron. It was usually a male.
Bear, if I recall.
I did only
Correct.
because I am striving to be a large animal vet. So I think that I could actually help the bear if it needed it, you know?
You're not really engaging in good faith with the question, but
She just wants to come in contact with a bear in the wild.
Like, what?
I know
Get
you're kind
on.
of like dancing around the point of the question. But okay. So the numbers some of you guys provided were pretty high.
Well, here's what I've got. I've got, for the first one, she thinks that 33 million men, 33 million men would want to and somehow do horrible things to you, which would include murder. The second one's 55 million men by your estimate, would want
You gotta fix
to
that, Nick.
do something horrible to you in that situation.
Like the
other
most
one
they're
that
gonna do is be a narcissist. I'm kidding. Love you. Like the video.
estimates were still beyond high, but you really think that 33 million men in the United States want to murder you in a forest if they could? Like, honestly, do you think that?
No, I was kind of just shooting a random number. I wasn't like, I feel like it's so broad. I don't know the percentages very for that. So I meant not a lot.
It's like, oh, now they say that, but it's like you literally cannot compare this bear or male attack thing unless you have even experienced the bear thing. It's just blowing my mind.
Not a lot.
Okay, and then the other one's roughly 55 million. You think roughly 55 million men want to murder you in a forest?
No.
That is no.
I would like to say that.
Thank you, men. Somebody said, yeah, they don't say thank you. Thank you. Thank you to all the underwater electrical engineers. Yeah, I know what you do. Okay, I know what you do. You risking it all, baby, just to turn something on. It's hot. If a guy was like, yeah, I just like got off my underwater electrical job, I probably would faint. He's just like, I'll marry that one. I'm looking for a man who's 5'10", underwater, buzz, alive. Oh, ew.
Like the misconception and like the high estimates are coming from the idea that as women, we are kind of conditioned to fear the idea of getting attacked by a man and be afraid of that. And so our estimate would be high because we already think the probability of getting attacked would be high, given that women are not necessarily safe when they walk alone. I think that's where the misconception is.
Yeah, doesn't that seem to you to be illegitimate though? If your estimates are so high that you believe that as many as 55 million men in your native nation would just murder you in a forest if they happen to be alone
like if
with you?
those people don't know, you know, when you go underwater and if you go too far, you could blow up essentially. Like the people that do this job that I was just talking about, some of them have to go that far. Like it's not just like, oh, you know what I mean? Like some of these spots are so deep. I didn't know that. I was like, they just have to dive. Just kidding. That job has always impressed me. That and changing light bulbs on those really tall buildings that you just pray to God don't go down during a tornado. What are they called? Where they wear the bungee suits and they're like in the clouds. It's a vibe.
I mean,
okay,
so that kind of conditioning might be a little bit absurd.
I'll retract my estimate if it bothers you. But I would say that
well,
like
I mean,
I can stand by the fact that like maybe there's an overinflated estimate.
But
Me.
Wouldn't you
well, you seem a little bothered. That's why.
Yeah, wouldn't you retract it though because you don't actually believe that 55 million men in your native nation would murder you horribly if they were in a forest?
Like men are the type of men that if I was like, I want to go to one of those sites that the underwater electrical engineers go to, but like I don't want to die. A man would be like, come on, I'll take you. And I would have zero fear. Like none. Like, oh, it must be doable. You know, snap my fingers. You want to be on a boat? They'll make it happen. Women be like, you can manifest anything. Unbeknownst to them, the only reason their manifestations come true is because of a man. 100%. I'll die on that hill. Remind me to write about that.
You're right. I think that it was inaccurate, but I'm saying that even though it was inaccurate, I'm speaking to the inaccuracy and saying the reason why was because lots of women fear being attacked by men.
Yeah, but that doesn't sound like it's very justified that they fear that.
Are you a woman?
When we start talking about the actual, do I need to be a woman to note if it's justified by the numbers, whether you should fear that or not? I don't understand.
I don't
Should I
think
be able to use my
numbers
logical brain, even if I don't have a vagina, to take note as to whether or not this is possible or not possible? Do I need to be a woman to note that 55 million men obviously and clearly don't want to kill you in a forest? Do I need to be a woman to know that?
I think you're a little stuck on the number.
Looking for an underwater welder. No air. 5'6", loves fish. Get it?
I think like really what we're talking about is the female experience, which you can't speak to.
Yeah, but I can speak to the male experience. And don't you think the male experience can speak to the male experience of how many men I think would actually want to hurt you?
Well, I'm really happy that you wouldn't hurt me in the parking lot for what it's worth.
It's not our job to kiss your ass because you're a woman. I'm having an adult conversation with you. So
I didn't ask you to
I don't know why I need to look at everything from feminist standpoint theory or from your perspective when you so easily dismiss mine. I'm telling you that your number's absurd. It makes no sense. And as you retract it, you very quickly retracted it because you realized how absurd it was. Why would you say that I have to be a woman in order to speak to this? That seems insane.
I didn't say that. I said that I was talking about my estimate. And you're right, my estimate was overinflated. I explained to you why it was overinflated.
Yeah, I know, but the reasoning, so I still have to take everything through a logical prism. So even if you tell me the reason that it was overinflated is because of X, that still has to make sense. Saying that it was this way because I just felt like it should be that way, that doesn't actually make any logical sense. You're not basing that on anything other than how you feel, right?
Right. No, she based it on the fact that we're conditioned. We're actually taught to think this way, not just by our mothers, but by our fathers, especially like in the Hispanic household. Like our fathers will be the one that tells you, don't trust the man in the wood.
Yeah, but that's really kind of strange because even right here on this panel, the estimates are wildly different as to how many women think that they would or would not be assaulted or murdered by men. So when you say we are taught that, like, as a collective, that clearly can't be true, because there's many women on this very panel who gave wildly different answers, right?
Men.
Yes, but not every man.
Men, what do you think underwater welders do in their free time? I'm trying to come up with a better thing. Michael, you're good at this shit. Looking for a man underwater, welder, high voltage, with a yacht, a rich one.
Good father who teaches his daughters to be wary of a certain type of man. You know, not everyone is brought up in the same way.
That sounds like an indictment of being raised by mothers only.
Mothers only? What do you mean?
I was like,
Well,
there's
you're
nothing
saying-
wrong with that. But
Yeah, there wouldn't, but I'm confused on your point.
Well, because if you're saying that it would require some kind of strong man in the home to condition a daughter to know what type of man to look for, wouldn't that be an indictment of being in only a single mother home, that probably wouldn't be good for a kid?
No, because I started off that statement saying that it's not just mothers that do that it's also fathers. So therefore, like, it's both parents who have the ability to teach their children about these things.
Well, was it your father or your mother who told you that such a wildly disproportionate amount of men were going to assault you in a forest if you came across one?
If I'm going to be honest, it was both, but it was mainly my father who wouldn't even let me go to a sleepover because of
Ooh.
this.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a distinction
I'm
between...
looking for an underwater welder, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, big dick. Sorry.
not wanting to let your teenage daughter go to sleepovers under certain types of conditions, rather than an indictment of men, and that men are going to just do horrible things to you. That seems kind of silly, right?
Well, no, because he actually like taught me like why it wasn't, like, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't
I'm
just say you
looking
can't go to a
for an
sleepover because it's not
underwater
one. There was
welder.
something behind it, and like gave me a little talk, you know.
Yeah, so that's not really an indictment of men. That might have just been an indictment of the situation, right?
I love
Yeah,
that we
but
said.
I think what she's saying is that the numbers are so different because everyone has a different background experience of what they heard from growing up.
Exactly.
Nobody actually knows what percentage. We're just all guessing. So some have a higher percentage because that's what the information they received growing up. Some have a lower percentage because that's the information they received, but no one really knows.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's why we're kind of having a back and forth on it, right? We can assume that nobody knows the answer for sure, but we can still reason things.
You can't call an underwater welder a beta. Dude, like, okay. I think I've only dated betas based on the fact that I don't get what's bad boys. What's ATF? So an underwater welder and ATF. No. What's that? ATF agent listening and thinking he has a chance. They're normies. There's no way an underwater welder is a normal job. Like, you have to be batshit psychopathic to be like, I'm gonna go underwater with a very high voltage wand and shit. Like, what are you talking about? Beta. Yeah, y'all are miserable.
Out to
Beta.
make a determination. So, like, let me ask this question a slightly different way. Let's assume all of you were trapped in a forest. You were in a horrible plane wreck, and you were actually trapped in a forest, and there was a bear there. Now, the bear hadn't been overtly aggressive, but you have been avoiding it like the plague because you didn't want to find out. You're trapped in the forest. The bear is there. You happen to come across a man
You
on the trail.
cannot convince me that an underwater welder is a boring dude. You are all gaslighting me.
Who has not noticed you yet. Would you ask him for help?
100%.
Don't lie to me.
Go ahead, going around the table. Would you ask him for help?
Oh, yeah. If
Yeah,
I'm lost in the
next.
forest, yeah.
Yeah. Would you ask for help?
Before I answer,
Ah, shit. Sorry. Oops.
Would you ask for help?
Probably not.
Probably not. You'd stay trapped in the middle of the forest with a bear. Okay, next one. Would you ask for help?
Yeah, I would.
You must be new here. I'm psychopathic. Okay. We should mate with each other.
If it was a man or woman or they or anything. Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
ask
but it's a
for help
man
too.
specifically.
Yeah,
Oh, and
I
he
would.
has a rifle.
Yeah.
Right. And,
Yeah,
okay.
I still would.
And then next, would you ask him for help?
I'd eye him out first.
Yeah, no, but you fight him out. He looks like a normal man, just like Ted Bundy did and Jeffrey Dahmer did. He looks like a normal person.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then next, would you?
Yes. But I think if you put the situation
Hang
like,
on, no qualifiers yet. Hang on. I just want to get everybody's answer. The next.
yes, I would.
Iron workers are like equivalent to Marines. Like, thank you for service, but you all need to go to AA. Love you. Y'all need help. You need mental health treatment. I'm rooting for you. Save our veterans.
You would. And then next.
Yes, 100%.
Okay, so So now we can give all the qualifiers now that the whole table has gone around. So can you guys explain to me the logic of when you're asked the question, would you rather be trapped in the middle of the forest with a bear or a man? You say the bear. But then when asked if you were trapped in a forest with a bear and a man came along to give you help out of the forest, that you would ask the man for help. Can you explain that to me? I really would like to understand the logic.
I don't think I even answered actually the first time around. I just said I've seen a bear, so I don't. I don't think I
No, you
answered.
said you would prefer the bear because you've seen him,
well-
and that you know how to deal with them because you're an experienced hiker. And stuff.
I don't know if I'd say that. I don't know. I think being trapped with another person is obviously probably preferable, just because you can have help, like building shelter, whatever, finding water, whatever you can, but then with a bear, if you're trapped in the woods, you're pretty much always with the bear. That's their home.
Okay.
That's where they
Okay.
live. So.
And then next gal, can you tell me why you would do that in contrast to your own logic? I'm just curious.
I think that it would just be out of desperation. Like in that sense, like it wouldn't be who's more dangerous or whatever the argument is supposed to be. It would just be a matter of like, oh my God, there's a bear over there, and we're two humans, and that's a bear. I don't think it's not on the basis of gender.
I think that an underwater welder has more survival skills than a Navy SEAL. Do you guys think so?
Well, I didn't say it was on the basis of gender, but can you understand that it's really, really strange to me to hear if you're asked, would you rather be trapped in the forest with a man or a bear? And then when you say a bear, I say, and if you were trapped with a bear and it hadn't even shown signs of aggression, but you hadn't approached it because it could, and a man came by, would you ask for help? You say yes. You see why that sounds absurd to me? No, but because in contrast to this, you're basically trusting a man the same exact way to help you get out of this situation. But if you were put in the situation with a man, you would not expect a man to help you get out of the situation. It makes no sense.
In that sense, first of all, this isn't really a logic game, so I don't want to necessarily approach it 100% with logic. I think that there's some legitimacy to approach the situation with emotion, because I think everyone would be kind of scared. I think in this situation, you would be trusting a man to protect you against a bear, as opposed to trusting yourself to make the decision against whether or not you're going to choose the man or the bear.
Okay, but I don't want the military one. Love you.
Wouldn't you prefer to be trapped with the man instead of the bear if your assumption is that the man's going to protect you from the bear?
Well, I guess you could say that I could approach the man when I saw the bear and have to trust that he's not going to attack me too. But like, I guess then it's just kind of a lesser of two evils.
But then why wouldn't you prefer to be trapped with a man over a bear if you're hoping that the man would extract you from being trapped with a bear?
I don't know which situation you're presenting here. Is it you alone and there's one or the other, or both at the same time?
Yeah, if it's you alone or there's one or the other, you can be trapped with a bear, you can be trapped with a man. You prefer to be trapped with a bear. However, in the situation where you are trapped with a bear, you would still, if a man
I want to become an underwater welder. I'm gonna do it.
Request his aid in making sure that you could get out of being trapped with a bear. That's nonsensical. It makes no sense. It's completely irrational.
I could do it.
Humans don't always behave rationally.
Yeah, but when they don't behave rationally,
if a boy can do it, I can do it. You don't have to be strong to be underwater. You just have to be brave, which I have no fear. Will my tits sink?
Shouldn't they behave rationally?
Not necessarily.
Sorry.
Do you think that human beings should behave irrationally?
We're not robots. Like, it's not like we're calculating the logic every time we make a decision. Like, do you always behave rationally?
Yes.
100% all the time.
Yes.
You've never gotten emotional and like made a rash comment or anything like that?
Just because I'm emotional doesn't mean I become irrational. But to my knowledge, I've never become irrational. It's possible perhaps that I have had too much to drink at certain points in my life or something like this, or I've lost my faculties. But yes, when I'm in my normal state of mind, I don't believe that I become irrational. No.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think that irrationality is something that generally people strive towards.
I just think you're kind of oversimplifying the human experience by saying that, like, you're a perfectly rational being and all these things would just innately make sense to you. Like, there's plenty of evidence that people make quote unquote illogical decisions by your definition all the time.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they should.
Well, I don't think that humans should or shouldn't behave. No one wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to behave illogically.
Yeah, I know. So they shouldn't do that then.
I like that you wake up every morning and decide that you're going to behave logically. That doesn't mean that you will.
Yeah, but I should.
Well,
right?
Okay, everyone should, sure.
Right, that's my whole point. So if everybody should, then just saying that, hey, not everybody does, isn't really much of an argument.
Like, I don't think they realize they sound like the male equivalent of this right now is getting in a fight with a dude at the bar because he looked at you funny. Like, that is an emotional thing. That's equivalent. Women are emotional too. They're just not violent. But like, could you imagine? It's like when guys get in fights at the bar, women are just like, are you kidding me right now? Like, can't you control yourself? And it's like men are trying to say that to you right now, but you don't listen. Like the video.
Because we still agree that they should behave rationally. So when we have these scenarios and you kind of give me an irrational logical basis for why it is that you choose A over B, shouldn't that question your foundations? Shouldn't you question your own foundations, then your own emotions, to think, well, wait a second, perhaps I'm behaving irrationally and I shouldn't do that. By your own admission, you should not behave irrationally, right?
Like, I see your point, sure, but I don't know. I don't think that I like have necessarily like the strongest motivation to like perfectly behave rationally at all times. I always think that there's like a better, like an answer that's better explained by the context in that situation.
Well, I mean, sure, there could be answers which are better explained in the context of the situation, but they would be rational answers, right?
You really like this word rational. Do you have any others?
Good one.
Do you prefer logical?
I just,
mean,
you just seem so, you just
do you know any others?
Sure. I just,
Yeah, sure.
I just think that you just seem really stuck on the idea of logic and like
Darvo. Deny, attack, reverse, offend. I hate when people do that. It's like they try to make a backhanded joke, like an insult, like try to insult. Is that it? Can you pick a better word? I don't know. Ask feminists about patriarchy and get back to me. Like, no wonder what fucking like lesbian chicks get in so many fights. Like, we're so annoying.
I don't think that this is really an argument about logic unless
There
you're
we
kind of to the
go.
point about, you know, women.
Oh, it's illogical, yeah.
About women
That's my whole
supposedly
point.
thinking it's illogical to fear being alone in the woods with a man.
Well, it seemed to be by your own logic.
Like, it literally is stupid. Because if most men are not doing that, well, the bear, like, that's what you sound like. Like, shut up. It's okay to be irrational and emotional. Like, bitch, say that to a man. Now it's a threat. Like,
fear if you would still allow a man to extract you out of a situation with a bear, why you wouldn't just want to be trapped with a man to begin with. That seems totally irrational. It's essentially the same scenario. You just remove one item and suddenly the entire situation changes, and there's really no reason for it to change. It doesn't really make any sense. They're both still strangers in this scenario. They're both still
you ask any lesbian chick right now, they won't even take offense. Like, y'all be getting fights. Yeah. Yeah, we do. I'm not talking shit. I'm talking truth right now.
Scenario, you're still actually technically trapped with both of them in this scenario, but you would still.
You're right. It's so
preference with the bear.
different though, because like if there's a bear and a man, it's like a whole different situation. Because like what man in the right mind is gonna still think about like SAing you while there's a bear right there? Like that's like.
Well, couldn't you
that's
just
how
take
she
out the
said
bear
it's
and
two
then get
humans,
you?
one bear at that point.
What I'm saying is that
It's
there's
not
two
man,
sides to this
woman,
point. It's
bear.
not
It's just two humans. That, like that's why we're choosing that option, because it's just like those two humans against the bear is like way better logically.
Yeah, I know. But if that's the case, then why would you choose the bear to begin with? That makes no sense logically.
Well, but if you're alone with only the man, that is scarier than you are with both. You have more chances to just face. I guess the bear would be, if you want to like say it, it's a greater evil because you can't really communicate and say like, please don't attack me. But still, is much like as a woman safer to just like not be alone with a stranger, and that stranger being also a male, like a full man. Like,
But yeah, if you were, by your own admission, to ask a stranger who is a man for help and assistance because you were trapped with a bear, you're essentially putting the same trust in him as if you were trapped with him.
because he would also probably be scared of the bear, so he would probably put his life first instead of
He's trying
thinking
to
of
say that
anything
it's
else.
contradicting to your answer because
Well, he
if
doesn't
you
even
would
know
ask
if
a
the bear is
man,
there, right? He doesn't even know because you're asking
Hold
him for
on,
help.
I want to think something out loud. If women ask you, would you rather pick a man or a bear? I want all of you who are watching this video to follow up with, if you were in the ocean with a man and a shark, which would you rather see? Which would you rather be with? And when they decide to pick man, then we follow up with, so what's the difference between the shark and the bear? Well, one's supposed to eat you in the water and then one's supposed to eat you on land. Sorry, ladies. It's like, oh, so now you pick and choose animals? Should we really have you guys in charge? Let that set. Let that marinate. Okay, I gotta take my dogs outside. Sorry, I had such a long intro. Give me a really good, in the comments below, we want an equivalent to the 6'5" Blue Eyes song, so but for underwater welders. Looking for a man who underwater welder, tattoos, bartends, and whoever has the best one, I'll pin it. You'll get the pin of fame. Like the video, we'll be back today. Okay, bye.